Welcome back to my channel, guys. We're colouring up this image by Jade Summer from their new Cute Fairies book. Let's pop in and have a look. So I'm using COPIC markers again, and I've printed this one on an A5 size piece of Express It blending card. I just resized it on my computer through the printing package that I have. So I'm using E04 at the moment to line in all of my shadow areas. This one actually had some shadow areas already marked out, so I kind of followed those a little bit, and I added in my own ones around the hair and also where there might be things leaning on top of skin where a shadow would appear. So I'm just popping those areas in first. Now this one is done at, I think I've made it 1.5 times the speed that I actually did it, just to make that a little bit shorter. Still getting to the hour mark there for you, but hopefully you'll be able to pick up what I'm doing here. Just remember though that it is faster, so don't try to keep up because, you know, I want you guys to be careful and take care, and trying to rush because look like I'm doing it really quickly won't help you guys out. So hopefully you enjoy this one. I have done a speed coloring if you don't want to watch the full tutorial version of this, so please pop over and have a look at that if you don't want to finish through the whole coloring here, and you'll be able to see that speed coloring as well as a flip through of the book as well, so you can see the other images that are in it as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and if you click on the little bell thing, you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. And also follow me on my social media as well, guys, because I post up things there as well, and it's nice to get to know you guys as well. So just finishing off the E04 on the little fairy and the larger fairy here, I have done a color conversion chart to pencils for patrons, so if you're interested in that, I'll pop the link in the description as well, so pop over and have a look at that. Just remember that with Patreon it is a once a month fee for everything included in the past and also in the future as well, so it is only a one-off fee. It's not for every single color chart, so once you unlock whatever tier that you do get, you have instant access to videos and color charts and things like that if that's what you selected. So just to let you know that too. And I don't think I had anything else that I really had really important for you, but I hope you enjoy this one, and let's just continue on with this E04. Just swapping out to E11 now. I'm going to go over the top of the E04 and just make this area now a little bit larger. So where I've gone over with that color, I'm going to go over with this color, and then I'm going to extend that line and make it a little bit thicker and a little bit longer in some instances as well. So we're just sort of creating some shapes to get some depth into the face so that we can have some highlight and also some shadow within that, so giving it a little bit more of a realistic look. And even though it's still cartoonish, it still sort of gives you nice features and things like that as well. So just coming over the top, and you can see that I'm starting to produce sort of shapes and things like that in there, so that's what we're trying to create now. And we are actually going to do 2 layers. So once you do the first layer, it may look desaturated and a little bit spotty, so I am going to come back over it with a second layer to sort of smooth that out a little bit. The second layer is usually a little bit easier to do, and the markers go down a little bit better the second time. And also too, if you finish after the second layer, it still looks a little strange, make sure you let it dry before you decide to put anything else on it, because quite often with Copic markers, once that ink does dry within the paper, it actually smooths itself out. So just one thing to keep in mind when doing or using Express It blending card, because it does soak up a lot of the marker color and hold it there, so it does take a little while for it to dry. Now with some other marker papers it may not be like that, it may happen pretty much instantaneously. It depends on how much ink the paper can hold. I'm going to assume that, because this actually does sometimes take a little while once you've gone over with the colors a few times. So still just doing this E11, almost finished this one now. I'm going to bring in the next color, which is E21, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So we're slowly shrinking these white areas to create our highlight in those sections, and then we're going to have our depth obviously where we've started with our E04. So now I've got the E21 and we're going to go over that E11 and the E04. So it's already started to desaturate that really dark color now, but once we build up that second layer, you'll be able to see the darker shadows more. So we've covered over a lot of the white area now, but we're coming in with E00, so we're going to go over the top of all of those previous colors. We're going to leave a slight little highlight on some sections for the E000. So most areas are now is only like a little line or a small patch where it's actually been left for an actual highlight, and most of the area is covered up now. Also too, we can adjust those highlights and shadows in the second layer as well. We can make the shadows a little bit thinner, or we can make them a little bit larger, and continue on from there. So because we've got that base layer on, we can adjust that in our second layer as well. So we're coming in now with our E000 and we're just covering over everything now. So all of the skin area with this one, including the shadows as well, and right into and over the top of the remaining white that's left on the skin. So now we've got a good base layer down, we're going to go over with our second layer, and this time it'll be where all of the shadows will be. So I'm going to mark out anything extra that I want in here as well. So starting with the E04, and we're just going to go gradually down to that lightest color again. So make sure you do leave enough space in between each of those to put on the next layer of color. Just grabbing that E11 again and repeating the same steps. We're going to swap that out for the E21 again and go over the top of it again. So you can see now that we're starting to create some nice depth in there. And now I'm swapping over to the E00. So I'm going to do most of the skin now. I'm only leaving the very highlighted sections now. So we're going to finish off the skin with E000 again. We are going to put some R20 in the lips on both of the girls later on, so we will be using that R20 again, and I'm also going to put it on now in the cheek areas of her, the larger girl, and I also did add a little bit into the younger girl, but I did actually miss that on camera. So you can put a little bit in her cheeks to just give her a little bit of rosiness, and it kind of shifts away, it helps shift away from just having a little bit of a yellow tone in the skin that it does now. It just sort of makes them look a little bit rosier and things like that. Also, I tend to put the R20 in around the eyebrow or eyeshadow areas, so that it does give it a little bit of color as well, so you can also do that as well. So when I put on the R20, I do always come back over it with the E000 just to blend that off a little bit so the line's not sharp. Now I've also missed her legs down here, so I'll fix that up, and I've also missed a little bit of the larger girl's arm in the background underneath her wing on the left side, which is underneath the girl's hair, so the younger girl's hair. So I will fix that up and add that in later on as well. Just make sure as you go, if you see something that you've missed, that you fill it out then, and then you don't forget to fill it out at the end. I've got my colourless blender here. I actually use this quite a bit for doing any overlines. So I did get some skin colour into the eyes there because it's quite a small image. So I've just used the colourless blender, the chiseled tip, to push out the ink back towards the face. So just be careful doing that though. You don't want to put too much colourless blender in there, because if it does bleed out towards the skin, you'll actually get a line out towards your skin as well. So just a little bit in there just to push that ink back out towards the skin area. I'm going to do the dress now. I'm going to do some sparkles on top of the dress. I'm going to use a white gel pen for that at the end, but I wanted something a little bit brighter here in the front this time, and I've done a really kind of dull, less exciting background so that these two beautiful fairies can come forward off the page. So I'm using RV19 for all of the shadow areas in the dress. I'm just marking out all of the creases and folds, and I'm going to also mark some in on the top underneath the belt there as well, just to create a little bit more depth and some more texture through the dress as well. So I want it to sort of look like satin and sparkly. So I'm swapping that out now for RV17, and I'm just extending this color a little bit further out. So wherever I've put lines, I'm just making them a little bit thicker and a little bit longer to create some more depth in those shadow areas. So I'm going to create some more folds down from the top of the belt there as well, down into the bottom of the skirt. So I'm going to do that now as well. Just flicking my marker down and creating those folds all the way up to the top of the dress there. I'm going to use some RV25 to go over the top of that, so we're just getting a little bit brighter. So you can see I've still left some white space there. I want to fill in now with RV04, but I still want to keep a couple of white spots in there just to show a little bit of reflection if it is a shiny material. So on the very corners or edges of the folds, I'm going to make sure that I leave a little bit of white on those edges. So you can see now coming up there is a very thin small white edge on that pleat of the skirt or fold of the skirt there, so just make sure to leave that because that will just make it look a little bit more shiny as well. And that's sort of further, or sorry, I should say closer to us as well, so it would actually be lighter. So all of the folds are sitting away from us and all of the tops of those folds are actually sitting closer to us. So you can see now that I've filled that out that we've created that really nice sort of shiny effect, and you can see that there's a pleat or a fold in the dress as well. Just going to use a little bit of this RV04 and push it up in towards the top of the dress there, but I'm going to do the top of the dress actually purple. So we're going to come in and create, it's not really going to look ombre, but I'm going to try to put a little bit of purple back through the bottom of the dress there as well, but mainly it'll be purple, pink, and then we'll have purple and then some yellow. So I've got V09, and I'm coming in to do the shadow areas and also around the top of the dress here as well. So making sure to go into the creases there too. So I'm also going to do this under this top layer of skirt as well. So I'm making sure that I mark in those creases and folds again. I'm going to follow that with some V17. I'm going to go over the top of the V09 and extend it further out, and I'm going to make those lines a little bit thicker and a little bit longer now. I've also extended this a little bit down into the pink top part of the dress as well, just to help blend it in a little bit. Now I was going to go straight for V04, but I think it's a little bit too bright. So I'm actually going to stop using this color and I'm going to move to some V15, so V15. Do that first and then continue to blend off with the V04 at the end. So just coming in now with V15 to go over the top of the previous color and extend it further out, still leaving a little white space now. Now I'm ready to do the V04. So on the bottom of the skirt there, I'm going to make sure that I leave those tiny little fold layers white as well, so that we can see that texture through there and the depth and the highlight. So you can see I've left a tiny white thin stripe down that middle and also on each of those edges of the fold. Going to do some yellow on the bottom of the dress and also the ribbon trimming on the dress as well. So I'm going to start with some Y38 on the bottom here, and I will come back in a little bit later and do a darker orange in there just to sort of deepen up those shadows a bit, because sometimes they get washed away once you finished up finishing yellow, because yellow is quite light and the colors actually really blend well together, so it's really hard to tell between dark and light sometimes with yellows. So I will come back in and do a little bit of orange at the end. And I've got some Y15 and I'm going over the top of that again. Still having a little bit of white area there. I also couldn't decide whether I was going to do the trim a different colour here, but I do decide to just go in and fill in the trims as well. I've got some Y04 to come over the rest of the area here, and I'm going to use some Y02 to do the trimming of the dress. Just popping a little bit of RV19 back into the shadow areas just to deepen those up a little bit. Now I'm still using the RV19 and I'm just sort of coming into the purple and adding a tiny little bit through there as well. You can't really see it, but I just feel like it brings in the rest of the colour together. Now I've got the YR16 just to go in a little bit darker around the bottom of this shadow area here, and also into the ribbing on the dress as well, just where the little button thing might sit and things like that. And I'm just blending that off again with the Y02 that I already used in the belt, or trim. It's not really a belt, it's a trim. So it looks nice and bright, and now all we need to do is add the sparkles on there, which we'll use the white gel pen to do. So in the rows that she's holding, I'm using YR16 to mark out the little shadow areas. I'm just lining out where I think that the shadows or the petals might lay over the top of other petals, and where the shadows might sit in there. I'm going to blend it out with some Y38. And then lastly, I'm going to use some Y15 in there. The flowers in the background I'm going to do slightly different, so they're a little bit lighter than this one. I've just left the tiny little white sections up the top, and I've come in with the Y04 just to brighten that whole flower up. You could add some little white highlights on there as well if you wanted to. I've got, not even showing you what I've got here, but I have got G14 here, and I'm coming in and just filling out the stalk or the stem of the flower or the rose. Also too, there was a little bit of pink on the bottom part, so it actually does already look a little bit darker by going over it like that. I'm going to do the hair on the larger fairy now. Because it was so small, I did have a trouble with a lot of detail, but all I'm doing is just doing some flicking motions up towards the highlighted section, and I'm coming back down the other side of that to create a highlight in the middle of each section of hair. So we've got each part of hair, say for example on the fringe there, she's got a couple of different sections of hair coming over her face. I would class each one of those as a part or a section of hair. I would flick up from one side and make sure I'm flicking back from the other side. So you'll see how we do that as I progress on. If you want to know a little bit more about hair, there are a few more videos that I have done with a little bit more detail on hair, and the images are a little bit bigger, so it's a lot easier to see how we're sort of getting the effect that we're getting with the hair with those images rather than these smaller ones, because the marker tips are a little larger, so we can't get as much detail in with markers on the smaller images as we can with those larger ones. So just going in to line all that out now. So you can see how we've coloured the hair now and created our little sections of highlight through there. I'm just colouring in the arm part that I missed there before. I'm coming over the top of the E09 with some E15, and I'm extending those lines a little bit further out towards that white highlight section, and I'm coming back the other way as well. I'm going to bring some YR15 in now and go over the top of those previous colours and come over the highlighted section now with this colour. So you can see that I'm just coming in from both sides and bringing those two colours in together. So just using some C1 to put some shading into the eyes, into the whites of those eyes there, and also just some colourless blender to blend that out a little bit. I'm also going to use a white gel pen now to put on some details in her eyes and also down on her dress. I'm just going to dot on some sparkles over the bottom of the dress to make it look like that it's shimmering or glittery on the bottom of the skirt. So once I've done that, I'm going to start on the little girl on her clothes. I'm going to use the same combos that were in the dress. So just coming in with the violet to start with to do the shadows, and then extending that out with those lighter purple colors again, and also doing the pinks through the shorts. I'm going to actually do the sparkles on the pink shorts as well, so that they kind of match in together. So you can see there I've created some crease lines with that V09, and I'm coming over the top of those now with some V17 just to extend that further out and get to our lighter shade. So just swapping back over now to the V15, going down a little bit further and extending this further out. Still leaving a little bit of white section here for the highlight color as well. So I've got some V04 and I'm going over the top of everything now. I'm making sure they do leave that slight little bit of white there just to show that is closer to us. I may just go over it slightly with the V04, but I won't go into depth and try and sort of blend that out. So I've got V12 just to do that very edge piece. Just nice and lightly over it. I don't want to go over everything else because it will just desaturate it too much. So I'm just coming in with the pinks now. So I've got the RV19 first. Just coming in and marking out the ribbon section, or the ribbing or trimming of the top there. The bottom part of the top I was going to do yellow like the skirt on the larger fairy, so that they sort of come in and mix in together. So just marking out all of those shadow areas, and that was the RV19. I've got some YR16, and I'm just going into each side of the trimming on the top here, and also on each of the legs of the pants. So I want it to sort of create a little bit of a curve, so doing it darker on the edges and lighter in the middle will create that look. I've got YR15 coming up next, and I've still left a tiny little white section in each of those spots for the very lightest color, which I'm coming in with the Y15 to do that now. So you can see that we've got a little bit of a shiny sort of effect going on there, and we've created that highlight part in the middle. So just blending out the RV19 with RV17 now, extending those lines a little bit further down and making them a little bit thicker. I'm going to use some RV06 to come out a little bit further. Just a little bit brighter than the dress in the background. Because she's a little bit closer to us, I wanted to make those a little bit more vibrant. Now I've got some RV04, and I'm coming over the remainder of those areas, just blending them off a little bit to make that nice and smooth. I'm just going to go back into the shorts with the darker colors just to sort of make those shadow areas a little bit more prominent. So we had the RV19 and the RV17 to do that. I'm going to do the little girl's hair black with a little bit of pinky red through there as well. So I'm going to start off by lining out all of my shadow areas like I did with the larger girl's hair, and just extending these colours out in towards the highlights so that we're creating a highlight and some shadow and depth in there as well. So just following along here, the next colours that I put in aren't going to blend these out at all because they'll be a completely different color. Also too, I brought in my multi-liner afterwards because I didn't feel there was enough texture through there, so I've just put a few lines through there with the multi-liner in black just to sort of get a little bit more texture. So I've got R59, which is a dark red color. It's kind of a burgundy red, so I'm coming over the top of the black and just extending this out. So you can see that it's going to create a little bit of a shiny pink highlight at the end. Just got a little bit of R46 going over the top of that again, leaving the slightest hint of a highlight in there still. So there's still a little bit of white space there, but not a lot. So to give me that really sort of bright pink sort of look, I'm going to go back in with the RV19 and just go over everything. So just creating that little bit more of a pink shine on there. So I've just grabbed my multi-liner. I'm not sure what size this one is. It doesn't really matter. Just a fine liner. So I just put a few more lines through that hair there, through into the red, just to give it a little bit more texture. So I'm doing all of the roses in the background a subtle colour. I've got YR16 and I'm going to go into all of the shadow areas first. So anywhere where I think the petals are laying over the top of other petals, or where there's leaves leaning over it or something like that, I've made sure that I've popped a shadow in there. So just swap that one out now, and I'm going in with the YR15, a little bit lighter, and going over the top of those areas, making them a little bit larger, still leaving a little bit of a white area for that brighter yellow color. Don't know what happened to the lid for the next one. I must be holding it in my hand. This is Y15, and I'm just going over the whole flower now. So coloring over all of the white space and just going into the shadows as well, just to blend all that in nice and smooth. So I'm going to start with the wings now. I'm going to sort of turn my marker slightly on a flatter angle, and I'm going to sort of feather out with the side of my marker to create a little bit of a softer effect on the wings. I just wanted them to sort of blend in all together and make them look a little bit like they were all one color, but obviously they're not. So I've stuck with the same kind of, I guess, tones, and we're just, sorry, shades, and we're just coming in with different colors. So trying to keep it nice and light, but if you were to look at it through monotone, it's going to all look one color. So just coming in now with the V12 first, and as I said, I'm just turning my marker on the side a little bit and feathering that out so that the next color will feather over the top of that nice and smooth. So I'm going to swap that out for a lighter pink. I've got some RV10, and I'm just going to come over the top of that color and then do the same thing, just feather this out towards the middle of the wings. I'm also going to put a little bit of this around their hair and their backs as well, just to sort of create that sort of curved effect there too. So the wings are kind of curving now, and the middle parts of the wings look like they're curving towards us more. I'm going to use a lighter orange color on the younger girl. I've got YR20, and I'm just coming over the top of everything for that one. And on the top one, I'm actually going to do it yellow, so they're slightly different in color. I'm going to use Y11 for the top wings. So here I was just testing colors for the background. I was going to use a YG13 on those and then put a darker color in there, but I've decided that the YG13 will be my darker color. So I've gone in with YG11 and I'm covering over all of the leaves with this color. So I'm not worrying about where they are or anything like that for now. I'm just going to color in all of the leaves with this color. So I just wanted to fix up those wings a little bit. Now that I've put in the green, I could see that I missed a little bit at the back there. I'm just filling that in with those colors we used in the bottom of the wings. And I've just brightened up the edge of that one as well. So we're going to come in and put the background in now. I'm going to put just a nice light blue in there. I'm going to use some B000 or B40, it's up to you. I'm going to come in and just fill out all around all the flowers now. So we've still got, that will be pretty much, it is B40 by the way, but pretty much we're covering the rest of the image now. So we've got color down all over the paper once I finish with this one. I'm going to come in now with the YG13 again, and I'm going to line out all of the veins in the leaves and just put some veins in the ones that don't have any for now as well. Also going to sort of, I guess, color around some of those shadow areas as well to put a little bit of depth in there. But I wanted to keep this nice and light in the background because I want those girls to sort of pop forward out of the picture. So I have missed the girl's eyes, so I'm going to come in and do her eyes. I've got G14 for the darker shadow areas at the top of the eyes, and then I'm going to add in the YG11 to come over the top and down into the bottom section to keep them nice and light at the bottom. I've also got there my YG11, that's the 11. I've also got my white gel pen as well, and I'm going to fix up those highlight sections there as well, just to brighten those up. Also too, I'm going to put some nice sort of shiny white sections on the wings, and also put some speckles and dots on her shorts to make them look sparkly as well. So that's pretty much everything there. I've just added the black in the eyebrows there to make sure they're nice and dark as well. So finishing off those final touches now, making sure the lips have got a little bit of pink in them still, using the R20, things like that, just to make the picture look finished and completed. So I think that's everything that I've got for you today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please put a thumbs up and pop a comment in as well and let me know what your favorite parts of it were. And if you followed along, please come and share it in the Facebook group. All of these links will be in the description below as well. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Vero. Also, check out the Facebook group as well. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I love catching up with you guys and knowing what you guys think as well. So please do leave a comment. It is important, and I will give it a like. So guys, thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.